Wow, how time flies when you're covering all of the considerations that relate to the new world of work. Again, we're ambitious in our content. We've covered a lot, but I did promise that we were going to round out with just considering, and I'm going to go through this quickly, the importance in our new reality of underscoring the why. So when we talk about the why, one of the things that is so important to bear in mind is oftentimes we're communicating through policies. You've heard us mention right throughout all the content that, policies are so critical to ensuring that you're effectively communicating expectations, that you're people within the workplace understand what their roles are, that they understand what entitlements are, and that they're clear on what the obligations the employer has. But one thing I will tell you that we see repeatedly, and this is where a lot of organizations and employers just miss the mark, is they don't incorporate into the policies the why. And again, as I mentioned, in this context, in our new world of work, the why is critical. So why the why and why the why is important now is because if you really tether the reasons for the requirements that you're implemented to the why, the business rationale, the service rationale, the culture rationale, or the requirement, you minimize the sense of uncertainty that we've been in for this near kind of 15-month period. Employees need to understand why they're required to do certain things. And when you showcase and you incorporate the why, it's also an opportunity to demonstrate leadership. In the last near 15 months, as I mentioned, leaders have felt very inept to deal with explaining to employees kind of how they're going to write course, how they're going to stabilize the workplace environment. So it's really important to articulate the why. It shows that you're being strategic. It shows that you're being planful with respect to how you're going to navigate the organization through these times and to, move through and to go past the pandemic and get on even better ground than you were on before. The why is also important to clarify expectations. Again, you are essentially tethering the why to the requirement. And so it's very clear for employees to understand why they are required to do what you're saying they're required to do. But the why is also important to managing expectations. Because as I mentioned, in the times that we're in, right now, a lot of employers and employees might be pressure testing employers to see kind of how well thought out they may be with respect to certain requirements that may be imposed or the strategy they may be unveiling. So when you connect it to the why, the understanding is much clearer as to why the requirement or the rule is being imposed. And again, it makes it very clear to employees that it may not be as movable as they may try in efforts to push boundaries during this time. Also critical to gaining buy-in when people understand why they need to do certain things. And the why has a very solid rationale, and they understand the collective benefit to the why, they're more likely to adopt and adapt to whatever new rules, requirements are being put in place. But the why also fosters a sense of connection. So it gives you an opportunity to connect, to make the employees, everyone in the workforce feel connected to common goals, common outcomes or objectives. And it does fulfill what I highlighted from the outset is increasingly being noted as a desire of employees and individuals generally as we kind of gain our bearings in the pandemic, and that is fulfill the need for deeper meaning and belonging. And this is really important, again, as I mentioned, as employees and leaders are really questioning whether or not what they've been engaged in their businesses and their work kind of pre-pandemic, if it's going to give them that sense of meaning and provide value to themselves and to others, which is something that people are more focused on during these times. So again, the why is critical. Incorporate the reasons for the requirements in your policies. It will really help you to ensure that they're adhered to. And also they help you to justify, in the case that something is challenged, it helps you to justify the reason as to why. So think, for example, when it comes to vaccination policies, it may be in certain environments that you are requiring them. Let's say, for example, employees are required to work with vulnerable populations, et cetera. You need to make it very clear in the policies as to why you are requiring employees to be vaccinated. Again, taking into consideration all of the different implications that was discussed earlier.